Luo Tang looked at the employee communication channel, whose chatting direction changed instantly after his words, and nodded in satisfaction. It's also thanks to the absence of Keisha and Lingbing by his side. Otherwise, he would have to give the two of them a smug look. See. Wanji Travel Agency, he has the final say. Luo Tang rubbed his chin with one hand after carefully reading the words of the people who had not opened the ground. Among the crowd, the one who needs to worry the least is Seiki Kusuo. This guy's super ability is too strong. With that level of power, if the opponent puts down other chores, the ground station can be built today. Dumbledore doesn't have to worry too much, after all, he is the #1 person in the magic world. As the headmaster of Hogwarts, with the energy in the hands of the other party, it is only a matter of time before the establishment of a ground contact station. Miss 2B is not a big problem either. Luo Tang installed a sub-biological engine on it. Not to mention that Terminal actively cooperates with all its strength. Even if it doesn't cooperate, Miss 2B can still hit the opponent to cooperate. What's more, before that, he gave Ms. 2B a backhand. The only things left to worry about are little Dr. Fairy, Fubuki from Hell, and Denisa. Here, Luo Tang thought about it for a while, and extracted the memory about Do Po World from the database. Definitely, some content about her and classmate Huohuo was also deleted. Using the ability of the Heavens engine, he created a book out of thin air, and after entering the text into the book, he sent it to the little doctor. A reminder flashed through the employee communication channel. The ability to send red envelopes is the ability attached to the communication channel from the very beginning. Basically, except for living creatures, there is nothing that cannot be released. The reason why Luo Tang promised tourist communication channel that people will give benefits is also because of the existence of this function. At Little Medical Fairy, the basic situation of your world is here, and the location of the different fire is also recorded. Please don't provoke the Soul Palace for now. After a while, I will help you improve your strength and eliminate it. Little Fairy Doctor. Well, good. Liang Bing. What did you send to Little Doctor? Luo Tang. The location of the 23 different fires, the information of the Soul Palace and her world, and some things that would have happened. Liang Bing. The future. Kame Madoka. The president can indeed predict the future. Albedo. The Supreme Venerable is all-knowing and omnipotent. My world, the Supreme Venerable also knows very clearly. Tasaka Rin. The president seems to have told me something about the future. Dumbledore. The president is indeed a man who, as the Ancient One magician said, grasps the true meaning of time and transcends time. A swarm of sycophants rushed to my face. When Luo Tang saw the news, he continued to talk in the employee communication channel, with a relaxed expression on his face. Chui Shui. That bald head is not easy to deal with. You can negotiate first, such as giving the other party a sum of money. He is very short of money. This is okay too? Fubuki's voice was obviously not calm. A person who can lightly defeat half of his Fubuki group is actually short of money? Who dares to believe it? Try it. If it doesn't work, I'll build a void engine for you in a while. Luo Tang gave Chu Shui an order. According to his estimate, people like Kiyu, if they know that there is a good thing about moving and giving money, they will definitely go there. After ordering blowing snow, Luo Tang looked at Denise's words. Yi Silly of the North, the #1 male sword of the first generation, the strongest of the old 3 abysses. The name alone is enough to tell that it is not easy. Although Denisa has acquired the angel gene, her strength has increased a lot and she also has a 1-frequency supercomputer. But for things like fighting, before the final result comes out, no one can be sure that they will win. Denisha, I will help you build a set of weapon armor later. Master President, thank you. Denise's answer is still simple. She is not the kind of person who is particularly good at expressing feelings. Liang Bing. F*K. President Luo. Where's the weapon you promised me? Employee communication channel. When Liang Bing sees Luo Tang, he immediately loses his composure. It has been a long time since I promised to give her a weapon. Is this forgotten? It must be forgotten. Liang Bing. Clause? It comes with a space wormhole transport algorithm. F*K. F*K me. F*K me. Luo Tang, I discounted my sister's money. Keisha. Lang Bing, shut up. Liang Bing. Luo Tang. I like this very much, I will pack Hexi for you later. Hexi. In a employee communication channel, there was a commotion again. Those who know how strong Kesha's silver wings are all shocked by Luo Tang's comparison. Those who don't know can also see that Liang Bing must have obtained an extremely powerful weapon. Otherwise, Liang Bing wouldn't lose her composure like this, and Keisha wouldn't be so angry. Hexi, Keisha, send your weapons over later, I'll improve them for you, don't worry about others, they have them all. Luo Tang touched the tip of his nose. The principle of don't worry about scarcity, but about inequality, applies everywhere. We are all employees, and we still need a bowl of water to be level, so that we can develop in an orderly manner without any conflicts. Luo Tang's words surprised everyone in the employee communication channel. Anyone who knows its strength is full of expectations for the new weapon. The weapons used by Luo Tang in the past can break the imagination of ordinary people time and time again. What kind of changes will this time have? He told everyone to make some preparations. After a while, when he was ready to start a large-scale tourist exchange, Luo Tang looked at the tourist communication channel. No matter when, the communication channel that can connect to the world will never be without a group of people from Crazy Water. Even if there are only 8 people, there are not as many people as there are in the employee communication channel. These 8 people have surpassed the level of 800 people. Flying Squirrel. I received a suggestion from the president before to make the world an adventure game for the brave, and now it has been initially completed. Son Gohan. Bone Uncle, how did you get to? Young Master Void. I already know who the villain is, I'm desperate for the people in your world. 0. A brave man takes risks. We are very interested. Master Baoking. I'm curious, how did you do it? Momonga. After defeating the frontal attack, I asked Demiurge to directly capture the kings of several countries and have a friendly negotiation. Igneel. No matter how I think about it, I can't be friendly. Son Gohan. And then, Uncle Bones, what is your world like now? Momonga. I used the undead magic of the skeleton magician to create immortal corpses. 18 demon realms were born in the world. Undecedents and aliens continued to recover. Humans began the age of adventure. 0. My world is so boring, I really want to see the brave adventure world. Everyone in the tourist channel frantically scrolled through the news, constantly asking about the situation of the flying squirrel world. After listening to it, Olumite said that this way of living may be the best way for the overlord world. If the contradictions cannot be reconciled, the fear and panic in my heart will be vented in another way. The great underground tomb of Nazarick will not be actually lost, and mankind will also gain the goal of advancing. Forest of Monsters, Undecedent Jungle, Tiangong Tower. The instances opened by world props and undead magic will become the main theme of the Overlord world in the future. Luo Tang looked at the chat content in the tourist communication channel and raised his eyebrows slightly. After thinking about it, he spoke in the tourist communication channel. 0. Have you got your magic book back yet? The originally noisy environment became quiet, and Luo Tang's sudden speech made these people somewhat happy. After learning about the existence of a communication channel for employees at a higher level, and knowing about Albedo's treatment from Momonga, they are very clear that the attention they receive for reserve players like them is really limited. 0. Cock defeated 13 and helped me get back the magic book of 0. After a few days of chaos in the kingdom, order was restored. When Luo Tang saw Ling's words, a flash of understanding flashed in his eyes. Cork, a magical puppet stronger than the destroyer, is too foul. A puppet that can ignore the characteristics of most magic is definitely a skybreaker for a magician. Owner of Baoking Fang. I really envy Ling, to be able to get the care of the president, and the appearance of the slaves Pu Willow is rare to be favored by others. Mr. Kong Kong. I smell a monster. Baoking Fangzu. If you want to say slaves Sao, just say it directly, cover it up, think that slaves family doesn't know what you're thinking. An exorcist who raises banshees. Master Kong Kong. That's not breeding, it's friendly negotiation and communication. The owner of Baoking Square. You people are so dignified, you people always like to engage in this kind of thing. Luo Tang. Warning for silence. Owner of Baoqingfang, president, 2 snake demons, 1 green and 1 white, came to the door yesterday, and the slave family is preparing to report this to the president. Flying Squirrel. It was premeditated. Ignir. It was premeditated +1. Olumite. Premeditated +2. Luo Tang slightly raised his eyebrows when he saw Baoking Fangzu words. He didn't expect that there would be news of white snake and green snake so soon. According to the world's development line, this time they will come to the door, they will find the owner of Baoking Fang to transform the magic weapon. After the transformation of the magic weapon is completed, the white snake will come to assassinate the national teacher. Send over the magic weapon they want to transform, as well as the things contaminated with the breath of the white snake. Is the president going to take action in person? It seems that the world of the slave family is expected to open the ground pickup station. The owner of Baoqingfang is an extremely shrewd fox demon. After hearing Luo Tang's words, he quickly analyzed many things. Without any hesitation at all, the hostess-shaped magic weapon and a piece of white snake scale were sent over. The particularity of Momonga made her see another way out. Her own requirements cannot meet the standard. If she meets the standard, she will be able to ascend to heaven alone. Myriad realms. What kind of magnificent and mysterious existence should this be? Perhaps it is because the white snake world is an ancient world, and Luo Tang has read too many stories about the white snake since he was a child. His expectations for the white snake world are very high. When he was a child, he scolded Shu Xian for being pedantic and stupid countless times, wishing he could blow him up. He has already thought about it. If the ground pickup station can be opened, he will definitely fulfill his childhood wish by himself. Improve Silver Wing, Star Fate, Denise's weapons, and everyone's weapons. It's time for tourist benefits to be issued. Maid, I'm going to Nadawi again. Luo Tang muttered. Since traveling to the Marvel world, Nadawi is the place he has visited the most outside the Earth. The neutron star core furnace there, coupled with Bifrost energy, can directly save a lot of effort. If he didn't use that stove, even if he had the Heaven's engine, the time it would take to build a weapon would increase exponentially. After all, if you want a weapon to be powerful enough, you must provide enough energy. Even for today's Luo Tang, after a few weapons are built, the dark energy in his body will fall into a deficit. Go this time and bring some bars to the dwarfs. Luo Tang muttered. He was really embarrassed to stop the dwarfs from working every time he went. After buying a large amount of alcohol at the Wall supermarket, he went to Nadawi. The dwarfs welcome him as always. After all, every time Luo Tang comes, he will leave behind a lot of skills. This time I saw the dwarf of the drinkers, and I was even more ecstatic. The entire universe knows that dwarfs are addicted to alcohol, liquor, beer, and any alcoholic beverages. They basically don't refuse anyone. Luo Tang didn't mess around with the carnival dwarfs and forged weapons on his own. Hexi's weapon, Starlife, was remelted by him, adding more metal, and also engraved into the dark energy circuit. After being equipped with various abilities such as wormhole algorithm, remote calculation correction, and dark energy amplification, its power has skyrocketed several times. In the original book, it has been able to control the Starlife within the entire range of the Angel Nebula. After his transformation, the scope has definitely expanded by more than 3 times. Keisha's Silver Wing. Luo Tang basically has the same treatment method as Xingming, only slightly different in power expression. Different from Starlife's single-point attack and remote control that pursues the ultimate, Silver Wing focuses more on covering strikes. Once the silver wings that can be separated and reunited are scattered, they will become thousands of flying darts that are indestructible. Sweeping out, no matter how powerful the army is, it must GG. After binding the angel genes of Hexi and Keisha to their respective weapons, no one can use these 2 weapons except them. For Denise, Luo Tang made her a set of battle armor similar to that of Daijin. Although the material is different, the defensive power is not inferior to the full coverage armor he built before. A standard big sword, with its original logo engraved on it, conforms to the opponent's style as much as possible. Tasaka Rin's magic strengthening, defense bracelet. Artoria's magic reserve, amplifier. Fubuki's psychokinesis amplifier. Yaya's magical robe. All in all, Luo Tang has created more than 10 pieces of equipment for everyone. After completing these, he took a look at the heavenly weapons arsenal, which only had more than a dozen imitation treasures. He continued to forge all kinds of weapons in line with the idea that everything has come. Almost half a month. He didn't stop until Nadawi had completely consumed the Asgard metal uru that he had stored for nearly 1,000 years. In the arsenal of the heavens, at the moment has stored more than 1,000 weapons, accessories, clothing, armor, and magic weapons. Luo Tang nodded in satisfaction. In the future, he will never come here to feel the smoky feeling. Committed to the dwarf family, after asking Odin to supply them with materials, Luo Tang left DW. When passing by Asgard, he was just about to return to Earth when he heard Odin's call. "RO. Please stay still." "Okay." Luo Tang looked at the palace of Asgard suspiciously. "Luo, I have something I want to discuss with you. I wonder if you can come to the palace?" "Definitely." Luo Tang nodded, and suddenly remembered that he had promised Ancient One magician before. You need to trade the Warlock's Eye and Eggmotor's Ball from Odin and bring them back to the other party. Let it be used as a substitute for Time Gem to protect the magical world against the invasion of the dark space. After saying hello to Heimdall, Luo Tang walked towards the palace. Although he passed by Asgard countless times, the only time he really stepped into it was when the Ice Titan invaded. Walking along the way, it is full of Western European and mid-world style buildings and pedestrians on the streets. It made him suddenly feel like he was in the otherworld. I have met the Master of the Nine Realms, I wish you well. Mr. Luo, good afternoon. Mr. Luo, this is the second time I see you. Do you want a Brugo? Teacher Luo, it's very fresh. Pedestrians on the street greeted Luo Tang enthusiastically, so that Luo Tang could only respond with a smile and nod. In Asgard, his fame seems to be bigger than the earth. After walking less than 1,000 meters, countless hours of production were forced into his hands. Originally, Luo Tang just wanted to experience the customs of Asgard. But I didn't feel the climate, and I got a lot of favors. Before he got to the gate of the palace, he had already stuffed countless things into the system warehouse curry. As far as these Asgard specialty fruits, vegetables and food are concerned, Luo Tang reckoned that it would be enough to hold a banquet directly. Nima. Even if Thor went to the streets, he would not be treated like this. Luo Tang wants to know with his toes, Odin and Frigga must have done a lot of publicity for him. Standing in front of the palace gate, he looked at the bustling streets with a strange emotion in his eyes. While on Earth, he was the leader of the Avengers. Leaders of various countries are unwilling to talk about it, but they have to talk about it, and they can only deliberately alienate people from the people. Among angels, he is the supreme king of the heavens. Even if the angels want to get closer, they will subconsciously keep a distance because of their identities. This feeling of walking through the street and being admired and liked by countless people. Honestly, it's not bad. The enthusiasm of the people of Asgard, Luo, you have a deep understanding now. Odin held the scepter and slowly walked to his side, looking at the age-old Asgard land side by side with him. You tied me here. Luo Tang chuckled, and there was no disgust on his face. Even if he knows Odin's purpose, he actually hopes that he can protect Asgard, but he doesn't hate this feeling. A great life can face up to other lives and recognize the meaning of their existence. Luo, you are the most special person I have ever seen. Don't put a high hat on me, I'm not that great. Tell me, what happened this time? Soon, I shall enter an endless sleep. Odin took a deep breath, with nostalgia and reluctance for Asgard in his one-eyed eyes. The cycle of life has always been like this, even the mighty Asgard Protoss will eventually run out of life one day. You should know, I can make you live forever. Luo Tang looked at the sunset in the sky, the warm sunlight cast a golden-red light on Asgard. It is precisely because life is short that people are particularly nostalgic. Asgard does not need an eternal king. I am old, and there are enough messages left for this universe. Odin rejected the proposal of eternal life. The smile on his face seemed to have seen everything. Do you have any other wishes? Lo, you told Loki that he was my third child. Death goddess Hela? Luo Tang frowned slightly. Of Odin's children, the most problematic was Hela, the goddess of death. Its original power comes from Asgard, and it has almost the same control over Asgard as Odin. If you let it come back here, I'm afraid it will be a big trouble. Now I am unable to suppress her anymore. She got the news about you from nowhere, and she has joined hands with Dormammu, and the remnants of the Dark Elves have also pledged their allegiance to her. She has become the king of the underworld doctor. There was a bit of helplessness in Odin's tone. Now even without returning to Asgard, the power of Hela cannot be underestimated. Do you want me to seal her for you? Luo Tang glanced at Odin, kill and seal, but two completely different levels of difficulty. If it is killed, no matter how strong Hela is, or even coexist with death, he has a way to do it. But in the case of sealing, not only must the power to seal the opponent be maintained at all times, but also be on guard at all times. To put it bluntly, this kind of thing is completely thankless behavior. I hope you can defeat her and teach her. If she can't repent, then kill her. Odin closed his eyes. Even though he was completely disappointed with Hela, Hela was his dead daughter after all. Tiger poison does not eat children. How much determination does it take to say the words to kill Hela? Luo Tang's brows were furrowed together, and he sighed slightly as he looked at the sunset in the sky. The power of Hela, the goddess of death, makes her difficult to kill, but not completely unkillable. When Odin defeated it, did he really have no power to kill Hela? As a father, he just chose to give Hela another chance, so he sealed her in the underworld. But the long-term seal did not make Hela repent, but became more extreme. Odin is too old to compete with Hela, he can only seek the last chance here at Luo Tang. It's best to lead it on the right path, if it fails. He hopes to do one last thing for the people of Asgard as the king of God, the king of the Asgard Protoss. One will definitely regret it, but it is worthy of the responsibility on his shoulders. Do your best to pull into the right path. Luo Tang took a deep breath and complied with Odin's request. The old Odin, at the moment, in his eyes, is like an old man who is dying, arranging the affairs behind him. As a king, Odin is good enough. As a father, although he is not qualified, he also tried his best to give his love to his children. Asgard's divine light never goes out. Starting today, the Master of the Nine Realms will be in charge of the Nine Realms. Until in Asgard, there is one he approves, and a new king is born. Odin's voice spread throughout the vast Asgard. Countless Asgard people heard the words, respectfully turned towards the palace, and knelt down on the ground. Welcome the Master of the Nine Realms. Asgard's divine light never goes out. You really? Luo Tang glanced at the relieved Odin, and shook his head helplessly. As the king of Asgard, Odin knew he was too old to protect Asgard. Whether it is Hela, the goddess of death, or the flame titan Surta revived from the eternal fire, neither Thor nor Loki can handle it. If it is still developed by it, Asgard will only be destroyed. As a king, Odin will naturally try his best to protect Asgard. And Luo Tang is the only one who has the ability to protect Asgard. The more Luo Tang dismissed him, the more he disdained Asgard's Wang Quan, the more Odin wanted to let him take over. Only such people can make Asgard continue to thrive. Rom. I've prepared the ball of Egmoto in the eye of the warlock. Odin waved his hand to the back, and a guard in gold armor took the two treasures over speed. It feels like I'm going to empty your treasure house. Luo Tang rolled his eyes angrily, and put two things into the system warehouse. This guy Odin is too calculating, don't give him a chance to refuse at all. However, do the math, Odin Curry, minus the Odin Scepter, Casket of Ancient Winters, the Eternal Fire, and the Eternal Crown. It seems that there are not many good things left. Ha ha ha, you can use it. Also, Ulu of Nadawi, I will make it up. Odin smiled heartily, he seemed to have lifted a heavy burden from his shoulders when he had fulfilled his wish for such a long time. As you wish, I'll go see Loki. Luo Tang waved his hand, turned around and headed towards the dungeon below the palace. Kaka. Wherever Luo Tang passed, all the Asgard guards wearing golden armor knelt on the ground on one knee. Pass my order, and when the Asgard guards see me in the future, they only need to give a simple nod. Follow your will. When the Asgard guards heard Luo Tang's order, their expressions of reverence grew even stronger. Following the path and walking into the palace dungeon, Luo Tang saw Loki locked in the first cell at a glance. Queen Frigga stayed beside Loki at the moment, reading books with him and answering his doubts. "R.O. You're here." Seeing Luo Tang, Frigga naturally had a smile that made people feel like a spring breeze. "Tutor." Loki bowed respectfully, with a smile on his face, obviously hearing the voice of Odin announcing Asgard earlier. After Luo Tang nodded to Loki, he turned his head to look at Frigga at the side. "Do you know about Odin? We have been together for thousands of years, and he has never hidden anything from me." Frigga smiled slightly, still with that comfortable and gentle smile on her face. "He turned down my offer. Thank you again, Thor and Loki, I will count on you from now on." "It should." Luo Tang heard something wrong from Frigga's words. It's just that Loki is on the side, but he can't ask some questions too clearly, so he can only suppress the feeling that something is wrong in his heart. "Teacher, you guys are hiding something from me again." Loki had an uncomfortable expression on his face, being concealed and excluded was always the thing he hated the most. "Use your brain more. Think about your father's announcement just now. He said that the king I recognize will be in charge of Asgard in the future. He didn't mention you and Thor by name." Luo Tang curled his lips, and changed the subject lightly. "Oh, no. Teacher, I am your dearest disciple." Loki's complexion changed, and he secretly cursed the foolish Odin in his heart. What the hell? As soon as this announcement comes out, the entire Asgard, or the entire universe, will become his competitors. Is there any more unacceptable news than this? Frigga smiled slightly, squatted down and saluted, and walked out of the dungeon. She believes that Luo Tang can finally lead Loki to the right path, Just like now, Loki can calm down and study books carefully. After a while, there will be a battle. Seeing Frigga leaving, Luo Tang told Loki about Hela, the goddess of death. If Loki wanted to take charge of Asgard, what he wanted was not only his approval, but also the approval of others. What the people need is not a king who can only play pranks. Phew. I'll risk my life. Bet everything. Loki took a deep breath, eyes more serious than ever. After reading books for so long, coupled with Frigg's tireless teaching, his mind has grown a lot. It is very clear what kind of king the people need. Behave well, and I'll reduce your sentence by half. A smile curled up on the corner of Luo Tang's mouth, giving Loki some sweetness. What about the other half? Let's start this month's assessment first, and ask. Ice Titan reported. Flame Titan invaded Jotunheim. How to deal with it? Help the Frost Titan, beat the Fire Titan back? Snapped. A dark energy whip was condensed in Luo Tang's hand, and it hit the poor third princess directly. Ow, mentor. Mentor. Lighten up. I get it. There's no way the Flame Titan can invade Jotunheim. This is a conspiracy. Facts have proved that the brains of the three princesses are indeed much easier to use than Thor. People know what conspiracy is anyway, but Thor, he only knows the hammer. The Ice Titan of Jotunheim and the Flame Titan of Muspelheim, if they meet in other places, 99% of them will fight to the death. But the two sides are the least likely forces to invade each other's territory. Whether it is the land of fire or the land of frost, to the other side, it is like a poison. Living there will only make them weaken and even die. Luo Tang's small class of governing the country is still going on, and Loki's screams are constantly echoing in the dungeon. Originally in dungeon, there are still many captives who are jealous. Loki has tables, chairs, books, soft couch, and can enjoy delicious food. But hearing the constant screams, they feel that the current environment is quite good. At least Asgard doesn't torture or abuse prisoners. Luo Tang passed his addiction to teaching, leaving the third princess with a resentful face to leave dungeon. After returning to the travel agency on Earth, he sent the weapons and equipment he built for everyone to them through the employee communication channel. Basically, it is a tailor-made weapon, which makes everyone very satisfied. Even if some of them have never received tourists before, they have fully realized the benefits of joining a travel agency. These things alone, no matter in which world they are placed, can be called divine weapons. Luo Tang has just transferred to the tourist communication channel factory after dealing with the employees. No matter what time it is, the tourist communication channel is so lively that these people don't seem to be doing other things at all. Young Master Kong Kong. Today, I killed a tiger demon. The tiger's whip was soaked in wine and sang, happy, happy. Master Bao Qingfang. My family really can't understand. What is there to be proud of when drinking soaked wine? Sun Wuhan. Bao King Ant, I can't understand either. Young Master Kong Kong. Little child, you are still young, so you definitely don't understand. Luo Tang. My lord, is there something wrong with your kidney again? Ignil. President, long time no see, wait, again? Bao King Fangzhu. It seems that someone has an unknown past. 0. What happened to Mr. Void's past? Mr. Empty. I don't have kidney deficiency. President. I'm just empty right now. No one will accompany that kind of emptiness. Master Bao King. My family understands. Ignil. Understood. Alumite. Understood. Luo Tang bluntly expressed concern, directly addressing Mr. Kong Kong's background. Since he had the kidneys and lungs that are indestructible, his legs are no longer weak, his waist is straight, and he is full of energy even when he goes out. But the shadow of the past still remains in young Master Kong's heart. Luo Tang touched the tip of his nose, feeling a little embarrassed. To be honest, he really didn't mean it just now. Ahem. Next month's tourist benefits will be distributed. Pay attention, there are quick hands and slow hands. Less than a second before and after, the 8 people in the tourist communication channel all received red envelopes, and the speed of their hands was amazing. 0. The rope of capture can bind any prey. We like this gift very much. Flying squirrel. 8 pieces of crabs. It's really strange tableware, but I still have to thank you, Luo. Olumite. This group of green light. So magical, the dark wounds in my body seem to be healing. Owner of Bao Qingfang. My family likes the champagne given by the president very much. It can cover people's 5 senses, it's really a good magic weapon. Ignir. Why did I grab a piece of scrap metal? Sun Wufan. What I snatched as fruit. Luo Tang uncle, can this be eaten? The benefits sent by Luo Tang are actually only 4, and the remaining 4 are directly garbage. It's not that he can't afford it, but that there are gains and losses, and everyone is looking forward to the next welfare. Those who didn't get something hated their bad luck secretly, while those who got it were happy. The human heart is like this: if you keep giving for no reason, it will only make people feel that they should take it for granted, and lose the motivation to create. Those who didn't grab it can look forward to the next benefit. Note that if you successfully create a ground pickup station, there will be a big gift package. Luo Tang said something, and then sent the transformed jade hairpin magic weapon to Baoking Fangzhu. This jade hairpin was originally the magic treasure of the old snake demon. In addition to the power of attacking and devouring other people's demon power, it can also plant demon seeds for others. All the demon powers cultivated by others through the demon species are under their control. Luo Tang has obtained the art of refining treasures from Baoking Fangzhu, and it is easy to transform jade hairpins. Adding the scales of the white snake, this magic weapon is completely under the control of the white snake. The old snake demon and the white snake are fighting, and the magic weapon will definitely return to the white snake's hands immediately. Definitely, Luo Tang is also on it, leaving some special marks. If he is lucky, he may soon receive a travel receipt from White Snake. With the idea of AA being prepared, Luo Tang once again told the owner of Baoking Square, and then left the tourist communication channel. Although he has basically done everything he will be able to do. But in the end, it is still full of uncertainty whether it can realize what I want in my heart. Shaking his head slightly, he shook off the random thoughts in his mind. Luo Tang was about to get up and go to Kamar Taj, when the fluctuation of the space gate came from the first floor of the travel agency. Purple Yakumo is back. You really know how to choose the time, Zima, have you gained anything? Luo Tang spoke as he went downstairs. President, can I not use this title? Yakumo Z raised a big well on his forehead, and the small umbrella that was spinning in his hand also stopped. Tisk. It seems that you have gained something, and you still ask me, tell me? Luo Tang smiled. Seeing Yakumo Z's expression, he made a good guess about the matter. I need a world-class item. Huh? From Momonga? No, he doesn't have what I need. His props are somewhat different from the functions I need. Yakumo Z explained her thoughts in detail. In the Overlord world, Momonga borrowed world-class props, interlaced illusion and reality, to generate multiple things similar to copies. As long as enough magic power is provided, the copy will always exist, and the undead in it will not die. And if it is not wiped out from time to time, the magic power overflows, and the surrounding creatures will turn into undead creatures. It is completely to catch the ducks on the shelves, forcing humans to raid the copy. In the dungeon, human beings are in a relatively invincible state. Even if they die, they still have a chance to start over. And these opportunities to come back, without the knowledge of human beings, are completely in the hands of Momonga. It can be said that whoever he wants to resurrect can be resurrected. While solving the most direct conflict between the great underground tomb of Nazarick and humans, Momonga also took the initiative. Yakumo Z sees the solution to Gensokyo's troubles. The monsters in Gensokyo need to be exterminated, but it is impossible for this kind of thing that is constantly regenerating to disappear completely. Rather than letting the people of Gensokyo be at war all day long, it is better to attract players. Interlaced fantasy and reality. Luo Tang frowned, and probably understood what Yakumo Z wanted. But he has never heard of the world-class prop, interlaced illusion and reality, let alone understand its principle. President, is it difficult? Yakumo Z had a bit of worry on his face. She also knows that her requirements are a bit high. After all, what she said already combined the power of several realms. But this is already the best way she can think of. Not sure. I need to go to the flying squirrel, you can wait here for a while. Luo Tang touched his chin and said to Yakumo Z. After Yakumo Z nodded, he got up and directly entered the gate of the Overlord world. The scene in front of him suddenly changed. After stepping on his feet firmly, Luo Tang was already standing in a magnificent hall. The great underground tomb of Nazarick has accumulated a lot of wealth. The ground reception station with its own world style naturally follows this style. See Your Excellency. When the two maids standing in the hall saw Luo Tang appearing, their faces were full of surprises, and they hurriedly saluted. As a member of the Ain Zul Gown Guild, even for those who have not tampered with the information, he is an inviolable supreme existence. Where is the flying squirrel? The venerable flying squirrel stayed in the central hall after finishing dealing with the problems of several human kings this morning. Lead the way. Luo Tang nodded and said something to the two maids. After the two respectfully accepted the order, they led the way in front and walked towards the central hall. The ground station is on the third floor of the great underground tomb of Nazarick, and the central hall is on the first floor. Luo Tang, who has just arrived, secretly smacked in his heart after a little detection with dark energy. This scale, structure, and the magical texture that fills it. Just like the treasure of Empress Semiramis, the hanging garden of vanity. The entire guild base is integrated. Luo Tang squinted his eyes, remembering the staff of Ainziol gown in Momonga's hand. He was already certain in his heart. As long as the guild weapon and the entire Nazali underground tomb are slightly modified and sacrificed, the great underground tomb of Nazarick can become a mobile noble phantasm fortress that surpasses the vanity's hanging garden. My Lord Supreme, when heading to the central hall, a shout of surprise came from the corridor on one side. Albedo swooped and directly got into Luo Tang's arms. Where did Shaltir and the people from the Seven Sisters star cluster go? Luo Tang patted Albedo's back, comforted her slightly, and asked. In the Seven Sisters star cluster, except for Asgardian Oral Omega, everyone else went to the north to sit in the abyss, and Jisha went to the farthest undecedent to sit. Run that far. The props bestowed by His Excellency made Shaltir and the Seven Sisters the fastest moving people in the guild. Why? Albedo had a sour tone. Although Albedo also obtained the weapon that Luo Tang refined for her. But how can something like a weapon compare with a ring with special significance? Luo Tang looked at Albedo's resentful expression with amused expression. How could the opponent's small movements of constantly rubbing the ring finger of his left hand with his right hand be hidden from him? With a palm, he took out an improved version of the mysterious ring. Luo Tang took Albedo's left hand and put the ring on her ring finger. Ah! Albedo blushed with excitement, her delicate body trembling slightly. She threw herself into Luo Tang's arms again. After comforting Albedo for a long while, Luo Tang stopped the other party's eagerness to sacrifice herself. He came here for a serious business, and if Yakumo Z was stupid, he might not be able to wait for him to go back. Coming to the central hall, Luo Tang pushed the door and entered. After looking at the 42 chairs arranged neatly beside the round table in the hall, he sat down in the seat that belonged to him. What have you been thinking about for so long? Luo Tang asked a question. President Luo, my feelings for human beings are gradually becoming indifferent. Momonga hesitated, and directly told the truth. As it took longer to become the current body, he became less and less aware of the same kind of identity with human beings. Even after staying with the person in the great underground tomb for a long time, he is gradually ignoring life. He couldn't tell anyone in the guild this kind of words. Because in the hearts of his subordinates, human beings are not worthy of recognition. Moreover, he also needs to maintain his indifferent leadership style. Likewise, he couldn't say that to anyone else on the tourist newsletter channel. Olumite, Sun Wuhan and others are all people with a sense of justice. The only person who wouldn't mind his change is probably Baoking Fangzhu, a pure fox demon. The communication channel for tourists has brought him back the feeling of chatting with friends in the game, and he doesn't want to lose this feeling. It's not a big deal, do you want to change back? Luo Tang shrugged and said something indifferently. In the original book, Momonga only has the guild, and everything in the guild represents everything to him. He may be aware of his own changes, but he will never take it to heart. The appearance of Luo Tang made him not want to lose his humanity, which caused the current troubles. Please, Commander. There was a flash of fire in Momonga's eyes, and he sincerely asked. Your racial good and evil value is -500, how much do you want to change it to? Luo Tang's eyes were covered with white light. The first time is raw and the second time is cooked. After invading the system core of the flying squirrel's abdomen last time, it is effortless to enter again. The value of good and evil, can it be changed now? Influence from the spiritual level, I didn't tell you, can I change someone's mind if the other party doesn't resist? Luo Tang told a white lie. The reason why he can directly change the good and evil values of the flying squirrel is because the opponent has a similar system in his body. However, such words are not suitable for Momonga. Otherwise, with his character of being persecuted and delusional, it is estimated that he will not be able to sleep peacefully in the future. No. Momonga's jawbone opened slightly, obviously wanting to say something, but he didn't say it. Did Luo Tang tell him? Tell a hammer. In his memory, the two of them said, the total of the front shop is less than 50 sentences. Forget it, it's not important, tell me how high the value of good and evil you need. I hope it's 0. Momonga pondered for a moment before choosing a neutral number. The value of good and evil is low, even as low as -500, and he will be like him and now, wandering between humanity and viciousness. Cognition is affected by this value of good and evil, and becomes more and more distorted. The value of good and evil is high, and God knows if he will become that kind of Madonna character. At that time, I am afraid that the first thing to get rid of is myself as a different kind. Neutral is neither good nor bad, just right for him. With a move in his heart, Luo Tang directly reset the good and evil values AA of the flying squirrel to 0. After that, he pretended to wrap a layer of dark energy on the other party, and after tossing for a long time, he finally said that it was done. It's really effective, President, your ability is really powerful. The flying squirrel's soulfire trembled, and he could faintly feel the changes in himself. As long as you are satisfied. Luo Tang shrugged, with a sense of, I'm so difficult, in his heart. Things that can be done with a clear understanding. In order to prevent the other party from having trouble sleeping and eating, they have to toss for so long. What is this life is like a play, all depends on acting skills. The president came this time because of Yakumo Z's matter? Yes. Let me take a look at your world-class prop, and if possible, other props. Definitely no problem. Momonga nodded, picked up the guild weapon, and headed towards the world-class item warehouse. Although the son guarding the treasure house was a little unreliable, but facing Luo Tang, he had no reason to refuse. In less than 2 hours, Luo Tang recorded most of the world-class props in the treasury. You only need to analyze it later and imitate the props Yakumo Z needs, and it won't take much effort at all. The world-class road props, interlaced illusion and reality, provide a good foundation. After the basic model of the props is established, it is basically only necessary to improve some subtle places to meet Yakumo Z's needs. Luo Tang took a bit of a game mentality, and spent a day creating a prop for Yakumo Z called Dream Gensokyo. Its effect is like a fully virtual game, which can bring human beings in this world into Gensokyo in a special state. The monsters in Gensokyo are their wild monsters for leveling. Luo Tang originally thought about turning it into a barrage game, so as to miss the experience of his previous life. But thinking about its difficulty, he decisively gave up this idea. If you want to make this kind of thing into a barrage game, the first point is to connect all the monsters in Gensokyo. If you want to make props of this level, you can't just squat at home for a few hours. Ding. Tourist Yakumo Z, the purpose of the trip has been achieved. You can return to the original world at any time, or wait for the expiration of 1 month to return to the original world. Ding. Complete tourist reception. The host can choose ability, bloodline, and items. Luo Tang handed the props to Yakumo Zihao, and the system's prompt sound followed. President, I will remember this kindness. After putting away the props, Yakumo Z said something with a satisfied smile on her face. The gate of the travel agency rippled again. With a happy mood, she hummed an unknown brisk tune, turned around and walked into the space gate. It's really leaving without no regrets. Luo Tang muttered something, his mind moved, and he looked at the list of tourists received. Yakumo Purple, favorability. 88, Zima's personality has always been eccentric, and trying to gain a favorability score above 90 in a short period of time is tantamount to nonsense. The favorability score of 88 is somewhat beyond Luo Tang's expectation. He casually sent an invitation to Tourist Communication Channel, and in just a few tenths of a second, a response came. Owner of Baoqingfang. After so long, a newcomer is finally here. Is the president resting these days? Momonga. According to Albedo, the number of employees has increased by 2. Mr. Kong Kong. When I heard this news, my heart was full of emptiness. Why isn't this Mr. an employee? Ignil. Ask first, is it a human or another creature, at Yakumo? Yakumo Z. I am the ghost sage of Gensokyo, Yakumo Z. Master Baoqingfang. Monster sage, that's a monster, my family has another companion. 0. We have heard that the names of sages are given to those with extraordinary wisdom. Yakumo Z. Definitely, in the tourist communication channel, Yakumo Z easily got along with everyone. It's just that only she knows in her heart how annoying it was for her not to be an employee of a travel agency. The power of Luo Tang can easily change the status quo of Gensokyo. In addition to the mystery of Wanji Travel Agency, who would she be afraid of if she relied on the travel agency? Dragon God will have to be afraid of her from now on. Luo Tang looked at the lively chat channel, and was about to open his mouth to join in the fun, when there was a knock on the door of the travel agency. Boom boom boom, "R.O., are you home?" The voice of Ancient One Magician came from the door. Luo Tang got up from the sofa and opened the door of the travel agency. Seeing the Ancient One Magician with a sad face, and Modu being supported by Xingyun, there was a bit of strangeness in his eyes. What's the situation? Didn't Modu go to a different space? I also said before that if you use your life to redeem your sins, how long will it be before you come back until you die in battle in a different space? And Nebula, wasn't she exiled by Ancient One Magician? Is this coming back together? Luo Tang glanced at Xingyun supporting Modu, and couldn't help grinning. Nima, these two people are in love. Lo, Dormammu is coming. After Ancient One Magician entered the door, he went straight to the topic as soon as he opened his mouth. Luo Tang was slightly taken aback, counting the time, feeling something was wrong in his heart. It is not long into 2012 now, and there are still 4 full years before Dormammu invades in 2016. What made Dormammu move so far ahead of schedule? Tell me in detail? Luo Tang raised his hand to invite Ancient One Magician to sit down and talk. This morning, Modu and her returned to Kamar Taj from a different dimension. The Ancient One Magician slowly narrated the cause of the matter. During the battle with Thanos, Dormammu was ready to move. It's just that Luo Tang ended the battle too fast, so fast that Dormammu was a little afraid. After Modu and Xingyun were exiled to a different space, they were chased and intercepted by Dormammu's subordinates as expected. Dormammu expects to learn more about Earth from Mordo. Not long ago, Modu learned an extremely important thing from Caecilius and others. Dormammu somehow made a deal with Hela, the goddess of death in the underworld. Ready to attack the 9 realms together. Ancient One Magician spent half a day to confirm the authenticity of this news, and immediately rushed to the travel agency. This is put together. Luo Tang muttered something. The oppressive atmosphere of the storm made everyone in the travel agency fall silent. For Luo Tang, Hela, the goddess of death, has been quite troublesome. After all, he promised Odin that he would lead his daughter to the right path as much as possible, and would not kill her unless it was absolutely necessary. Capture and kill are 2 completely different levels of difficulty. Now Dormammu also took the opportunity to jump out to make trouble, making the already somewhat high difficulty directly raised to the hell level. Dormammu is not an easy kid to kill. As the master of the dark space, after he abandoned his body has been replaced by the flames of the dark dimension. In the dark space, almost endless energy is at its disposal. Control elements, telepathy, transcend time, change matter form. In terms of power alone, Dormammu, who possesses the energy of the entire dark space, is almost unrivaled. In the original book, Dr. Strange created a time loop and negotiated to make Dormammu retreat. Have Luo Tang emulate Dr. Strange and Dormammu negotiations? How is this possible? Dr. Strange was killed by Dormammu countless times during the negotiation process. That kind of crime, whoever loves it, suffers it. Damn Ida unknown currency. Luo Tang stroked his chin with one hand. He knew in his heart that if he didn't use Dr. Strange's method, he would have to die. Relatively speaking, his advantage lies in being able to change the rules and redefine the rules. Dormammu's advantage lies in the endless energy of the dark space, which allows it to achieve the effect of reducing 10 sessions with one force. You can't tell if you won or lost if you haven't really played. By the way, Ancient One Magician, these are the 2 things I said before. Luo Tang flipped his palm, and took out the ball of Egmoto and the Eye of Warlock from the system warehouse. It's up to you this time, R.O. Ancient One Magician put away the 2 treasures and took a deep breath. The army of the underworld gathered by Hela, the goddess of death, and the invasion of the dark dimension at the same time. This time, the situation is much more serious than before. Well, I will try my best, Ancient One Magician. How is the situation of the secret magic circles in the 3 holy places? Luo Tang nodded and continued to ask. In the past events, the huge mystical circles covering the entire Earth in the 3 holy places blocked several invasions of the dark dimension. If the goddess of death Hela and Dormammu attack at the same time, he only needs a secret magic circle composed of 3 holy places, which can be delayed for a while, and he can quickly solve Hela. The defenses of the 3 holy places have all entered the standby state. The power of the secret technique magician is now unprecedentedly strong, enough to last for a long time. Ancient One Magician naturally knew what Luo Tang was thinking. Relatively speaking, the goddess of death Hela and Dormammu attack at the same time, so Hela must be dealt with first. After all, Dormammu, who relies on the entire dark dimension. Even if he can be defeated, it will take an unknown amount of time. Odin is old, and his strength is not even half of his heyday. If you deal with Dormammu first, maybe after Dormammu is defeated, Asgard has already fallen. As for being proactive, the situation in the underworld is complicated. Hela, the goddess of death, is in the underworld. She is not the light commander in the movie. Once entering the underworld full of evil decedents, it is impossible to escape in a short time. God knows if Dormammu will launch an attack on Earth at this time. It is also not advisable to actively enter the dark dimension. Even if Luo Teng can defeat Dormammu, it is impossible to do it with a wave of hands like defeating Thanos' army. The power of the dark space is the power that even the Ancient One magician is borrowing. After Luo Teng and Ancient One magician made a rough plan, Ancient One magician was about to say goodbye and leave. The three holy places still need her to preside over them. As the Sorcerer Supreme, the soul of many esoteric magicians depends on her, and she cannot leave for too long. Modu and Xingyun followed Ancient One magician silently, without saying a word the whole time. For Modu, Luo Teng changed his life and set him on a completely different path. His heart is complicated, and others can't understand it at all. As for Nebula, she's clearly a bit intimidated by defeating Thanos. Luo Teng. After all, Thanos is almost invincible in his heart. I hope there will be no moths. Luo Teng muttered, shook his head, and lay down on the sofa. Unable to take the initiative to attack, and can only wait for others to attack, this is undoubtedly a rather aggrieved thing for him. Essentially, like Z Yakumo, he likes to nip threats in the bud. The chance to choose from Z Yakumo is still useless. Luo Teng talked about Yakumo Purple Queen, and instantly remembered the opportunity to reproduce after receiving tourists. Lingbing, Xiaoyishen, Dashawan, Yuerha 2B, Seiki Kusuo, Yakumo Z. Let alone Lingbing and Xiaoyishen, there are 4 chances. The system: copy the genes of the White Snake Immortal from Dashawan, and store them in the system warehouse. Copy the combat skills of Yuerha 2B to me directly. Seiki Kusuo's words: copy his ability of petrifying others to me. As for Yakumo Z, there is a gap. After thinking for a while, Luo Teng decided on the ability to copy. In the past, Luo Teng blackmailed all the valuable things on Dashawan. The only thing he thinks has some value may be the special gene of the white phosphorus serpent. However, he had never studied such things as the power of immortals before, and he was completely uncertain how much he would gain in the end. For Luo Teng, Yuerha 2B's combat skills are also better than nothing. Although Ms. 2B has turned her combat ability into something like instinct, Luo Teng thinks that it is not much worse now. Seiki Kusuo can be said to be the most powerful person among the tourists he received this time. However, most of the super abilities that Luo Teng has mastered are numbers, and Luo Teng can do it through the engine of the heavens. Only petrochemical. This kind of ability is somewhat incomprehensible to him. As for Yakumo Z, the power of its realm, for Luo Teng, can also be achieved through the engine of the heavens. The only thing worth studying is the gap it developed. A series of system prompts came, and Quantum could clearly feel the changes in himself. Slightly clenched his fist, the power control of his fingertips seemed to become more precise. There was a faint hot feeling in his body, and he clearly felt that as long as he wanted to, he could petrify almost anything. With a swipe of his hand, a space crack appeared in the travel agency. The gap is a bit like the mirror space of secret magic, but it's different. Luo Teng looked at the gap with a somewhat strange look in his eyes. If I remember correctly, Yakumo Z's gap can quietly spy on the entire Gensokyo. It would not be difficult for him to spy on the entire Earth. But if some wretched man gets this ability, tisk, it will be. Luo Teng muttered something. The heavens system has already begun to analyze the new abilities and changes in his body. After experimenting with the new ability for a while, he turned his attention to the visitor list. No matter when the goddesses of death Hela and Dormammu come, life should go on or go on. He can't do nothing just because he is waiting for the two to attack. If someone plans to plan an offensive step, it will take 3 to 5 years to plan, wouldn't he be crazy? Tourist list android number 18 from the world of Dragon Ball, a super robot warrior transformed by Dr. Jie Luo. Purpose of travel: to see the lives of ordinary people, A-level tourists. Neza from the world where the Devil Boy came to the world, the third son of the Li family in Chentongguan, the magic pill was reincarnated. Purpose of travel: Looking for someone to play with, B-level tourists. Ulquiorra cipher from the world of Death God, one of the 10 blades, representing the way of death, nothingness. Purpose of travel, to find the heart, B-level tourists. Charlotte Katakuri from the world of One Piece, one of the 4 desert generals. Purpose of travel, plastic surgery, C-level tourists. Anya Lenhart from the world of Attack on Titan, the owner of female Titan power. Purpose of travel, to find a way to capture the power of founding Titan, C-level tourist. System, isn't your painting style this time a bit too weird? Besides, an A level, why didn't you kill you? Luo Tang complained. Artificial Man number 18, in Dragon Ball, can be compared with Super Saiyan Hard Steel. You know, at the level of Frieza and Super Saiyan, they can easily destroy planets. Class a tourist, rightfully so. Neza, who was born in the Magic Pill, is a reincarnation of the Magic Pill, a proper bear child who lacks love. What's worse, the other party's travel purpose is to find someone to play with him. What to play? Deadly Shuttlecock. Has Ulquiorra already appeared? Then Aizen has obtained the Bungyu, and has gone to the virtual circle. Luo Tang scratched his chin, and after seeing Ulquiorra's name, he estimated the Death God world timeline in his heart. After thinking about it, he still accepted the travel orders of the first 3 people. Although rationally speaking, Ulquiorra's favorability for him cannot exceed 90. Even the passing line of his hanging. But Shu, Death God, and Quincy's power, Luo Tang has been thinking about it for a while. Why don't you give me a Sister Wa? Without Sister Wa, Broken Bee and Rukia can do just fine. Luo Tang muttered. There were ripples on the gate of the travel agency. The artificial man number 18 with a cold face walked out of the gate. Looking back at the gate of the travel agency, she frowned slightly, with doubts in her eyes. Welcome. Number 17 didn't come. Just as Luo Tang spoke 2 words, Tien Bahao interrupted him. Shrugging helplessly, Luo Tang explained. I don't have his travel list here, obviously, he doesn't want to travel here very much. Is that so? That's fine. Okay, welcome again to the travel agency, number 18. President Luo Tang, do you have money? Number 18 looked out the window, pushed back the broken hair around the ears with one hand, and the corners of the mouth curled into a nice curve. Luo Tang couldn't help showing a strange expression after hearing the question of number 18. He received so many tourists, the first time he saw a tourist coming up, he asked him if he had any money. In terms of currency, I should have as much as I want, but what are you going to do? What can money be used for? President Luo Tang, you are really cute. Number 18 pinched his waist with one hand, with a playful look in his eyes. That appearance is no different from that of a female hooligan. I heard that someone wants to ask me to play shuttlecock. Who is it? Let me see if I am qualified to kick it with me. Naza's voice came from the space gate. That tone of voice that clearly wanted to play, but pretended to be reluctant, made number 18 turn his head involuntarily. I saw Neza with his hands in his pants, who looked like a playboy kid. Number 18 bent down to look into the other's eyes, and covered Naza's small forehead with his hands. Don't disturb the adults talking, kid. With a gentle smile on his face, number 18 twisted no 29 feet s head 180 degrees while Neza was in a daze. With a push with his fingertips, Neza immediately stumbled back into the space gate. Luo Tang looked at number 18 with an uneasy face. Nima. Is this considered forcing him to dismiss tourists? It's even cuter, Mr. President, Qian. Number 18 looked at Luo Tang's stupefied look, spread his right hand flat with a smile, and stretched it out in front of him. I always feel like you're blackmailing me. Luo Tang said angrily, and instantly took out a bank card between his index finger and middle finger. How much money is there? Is there a difference? Anyway, you can't spend your life forever. A bold man is indeed more likable. Then, goodbye, I'm going to go shopping. Number 18 decisively put the bank card into his pocket, turned around and waved his hands. Glancing at the gate of the travel agency covered by the space gate, she tiptoed and was about to fly out of the window beside her. Hey. Don't mess around, the Earth is under my control now. Luo Tang hastily told number 18. In the original book, when the artificial man number 18 first came out, he was full of bad deeds, and the degree of wanton behavior was more like a villain than a villain. Coupled with her formidable strength, ordinary people are not even as good as fighting against the 5 scums in front of her. If something goes wrong, should he, the president, go to arrest the tourists himself? If you make a chicken feather joke and spread it, you will be laughed to death by Liang Bing and the others. Huh? If you mess around, will I ask you for money? On the 18th, she floated in midair with the Wukong technique, and after saying something, she left the travel agency directly. Luo Tang felt quite speechless, and could only recite a few words silently in his heart. Good men don't fight women. It's also due to the fact that number 18 is a woman. If it was changed to number, she would dare to behave like this in front of him and teach him how to behave every minute. Ripples rippled on the gate of the travel agency. Wearing a straight white shirt with a slender blade slung across his waist, Ulquiorra Cypher came out from the space gate. There are 2 dark green tear stains on his face, and a broken mask like a horned helmet, making him look even more ruthless. Kill Matt. Luo Tang pursed his lips. The image of Ulquiorra, placed in the world of Death God, may have a somewhat handsome and sloppy sense of sight. But in reality, it does have some resemblance to the performers on the streets of New York. Pale face, green eyes, no matter how you look at them, they have nothing to do with normal human beings. Heart. Ulquiorra looked at Luo Tang, without any expression fluctuations on his calm face, and he spoke straight to the point without any delay. Master, I'm back. Before Luo Tang could answer, a somewhat angry cry came from the space gate. Neza is wearing a Huntian satin and holding a pointed gun. He walked out of the space gate aggressively. Apart from not stepping on the Hot Wheels, the current Neza already has a bit of the aura of the successful cultivation in the original book. You're back, but he's already gone. Luo Tang looked at Neza's expression of wanting to fight with a funny face. Leaving aside the issue of being able to fight, how did Neza get the fire-pointed spear and Huntian Ling? Feeling sorry for Taoist Taiyi for 3 seconds. Where did she go? Neza vented all his momentum, and he couldn't help but have a somewhat disappointed look on his face. The people in Chentongguan all regard him as a monster. Although number 18 was rude to him just now, he was the only person other than his parents who was not afraid of him and still smiled at him. Everyone has something they like to do. She went to do what she wanted to do. If you want revenge, you can wait. Luo Tang had a coaxing expression on his face. Will she ever come back? Neza asked cautiously. I will definitely come back. When she comes back, I will let her play shuttlecock with you. HMPH, don't think I'll forgive her like that. Neza pretended to be cold and snorted softly, hesitated, and cautiously asked again with some doubts. She will definitely come back. Must. Repeated questions got the same answer, which brought a bright smile on Neza's face. In the final analysis, he is just a child who lacks care and lives in prejudice and distrust. Can I sit there and wait for her? Neza looked at the brand new sofa in the living room. This soft-looking chair, which he had never seen before, obviously aroused his curiosity. Definitely. Luo Tang nodded with a kind smile on his face. After what happened to Sun Wuhan last time, he felt that the skills in coaxing children must be strengthened. For this reason, he specifically consulted the child psychology knowledge in the database. If you can handle a kid, isn't that easy? Watching Neza walk to the sofa, he touched and looked around curiously. Luo Tang withdrew his gaze and looked at Ulquiorra again. Ulquiorra stared at Neza's figure closely, although the expression on his face didn't fluctuate at all, but he could clearly see some strangeness in his eyes. The power of the magic pill, chaotic and evil. Even if this kind of chaos has been suppressed by the Chenkan circle, people with keen senses can still notice it. But what made Ulquiorra curious was that the child in front of him still kept his own heart. Why? Ulquiorra spoke suddenly. What why? Luo Tang's cheeks twitched slightly, completely unable to understand Ulquiorra's way of speaking, which was almost a charade. What the hell? Don't talk about the cause and effect, just why. God knows what you want to ask. Why in the end? Why don't you admit your own chaos and evil, don't choose to be loyal to your own strength, but live in another, depressed way backquote. Ulquiorra spoke indifferently, it was difficult to capture any emotional fluctuations. It was just that slight pause, but Luo Tang couldn't help raising his eyebrows slightly. Have you met Kurosaki Ichigo? I've seen it. Where's Orihime Inoue? Okay. So, what you want to find when you come here this time is actually to know why they live like that? Luo Tang raised his eyebrows, with a strange look in his eyes. I know, but can't understand. Ulquiorra added. Understood. Luo Tang nodded, but he did not expect that Ulquiorra's travel purpose would be so philosophical. To put it bluntly, Ulquiorra has his own set of values. The values of Kurosaki Ichigo and others are completely different from him. While he does not admit that what the other party is doing is correct, at the same time, he has the heart to understand what the other party said. I'm going to teach people psychological counseling again. Luo Tang touched the back of his head, with a bit of pain on his face. Naza's travel purpose is very simple: let the kid have fun, and the travel purpose will be achieved naturally. For number 18, after being transformed into a cyborg by Dr. Glue, the other party has a thorn in his heart. The so-called look at the lives of ordinary people, to a large extent, is that she is remembering her past. More than 80%, if Luo Tang does not give some psychological counseling, it is impossible to achieve the travel goal within a month. Not to mention Ulki aura. The mouth escape master has the aura of the protagonist, and he has worked so hard to convince people, he really doesn't think he can fool around with a few words. F*K, kids are cuter. Luo Tang muttered in his heart, complaining about the difficulty of completing the purpose of tourists' travel this time. After picking up so many tourists, the travel purpose in terms of psychological factors is definitely the most difficult category to complete. Originally, the human heart is the extreme. The power of mind gem cannot be applied to tourists, which makes people feel helpless. A familiar spatial fluctuation came from the back of the hall. Hexi brought two little angels to the travel agency from the world of Super Seminary. Huh? Luo Tang turned his head in surprise, and looked at Hexi with some doubts. Hasn't Hexi been researching subiological engines, void engines and anti-void engines recently? How do you have time to come here now? New visitor. The corner of his eye's mouth curled into a slight smile, and he stepped out of the back hall gracefully. The blue cloak on her back swayed as she walked, and her mild but sharp eyes scanned the people in the travel agency. What happened that made you come to me on your own initiative? You almost avoided me before and left. Luo Tang looked at Hexi with a somewhat helpless expression on his face. I don't know if it's because of Kesha and Lingbing. The two of them clearly hugged and even kissed before. As a result, now Hexi began to deliberately keep a distance again, making Luo Tang aggrieved enough. Now you take the initiative to come to your door, what happened? The corners of his eye's mouth curled into a nice curve, and he gave a guess it expression, and walked straight to the side of the sofa and sat down. With Erlang's legs crossed and her delicate chin resting on one hand, Hexi spoke slowly. The main materials of the battleship of the sky have been built, and only the final assembly and debugging are left. I borrowed your space-folding technology and brought it here. She raised his hand, and the little angel at the side took out the palm-sized black box and put it in his eye's palm. That's all. Also, the world where I live is synchronized with the time of your world, so it should be possible to close it. Why? What do you want to do? The warships of the heavens have already begun to be built very early. With the full efforts of the angel civilization, counting the time, the main material part should have been completed. Next, as long as the assembly part is completed, the warships of the heavens can officially start serving. With the space gem given by Luo Tang as the core of void particles carried by the supercomputer on the warships of the sky. Vibranium, Uru and other materials are mixed with the original warship production materials of the angel civilization. As long as this warship of the heavens officially starts serving, it will definitely become a super weapon that surpasses all warships of the angel civilization. It is no longer a question of how fast the calculation is. It is the strike level of the warships of the heavens, which has already broken away from the strike category of conventional weapons. What it pursues is to directly carry out large-scale conceptual strikes. Although Luo Tang was a little pleased with the completion of the main material part of the battleship of the heavens, what he cared more about was Hexi's words. Why turn off time synchronization? You know, the speed of time in the world of Super Seminary is times faster than that in the world of Marvel. When Hexi returned from the Marvel world, he set up a ground pickup station. For Luo Tang, it was only a few months, but for her, nearly 2,000 years have passed. Disconnect time coherence? What does Hexi think? We need time to verify some things. She was silent for a moment, before speaking softly. It is different from the relaxed and confident expression of the past. Although she of at the moment is still beautiful and charming, but there is a little more melancholy between his brows. Verify what? Void? Or something else? Luo Tang frowned, and even wondered in his heart whether Keisha had messed up again. I don't want to tell you. She smiled, with a dazzling look in his blue eyes. Then I won't break the time synchronization. Luo Tang is angry and funny. The co-author asked him to disconnect the time coherence, but he still doesn't know the reason? You must know that disconnecting the time coherence means that the ground station of the Super Seminary world will temporarily close the world gate. Apart from employee communication channel, Luo Teng will lose the way to contact Hexi again. Not to mention using the ground pickup station to receive tourists, organize tours and the like. She didn't speak, but looked at Luo Teng's cheek with a smile without blinking, as if he wanted to engrave this face in his heart. Neza sat on the sofa boredly, looked at Hexi, then at Luo Teng. Recalling what number 18 said before, don't disturb adults talking. He finally set his sights on the expressionless Ulquiorra. Walking in front of Ulquiorra, he raised his head and said, "You look boring too, do you want to play together?" Playing. It doesn't make any sense. Ulquiorra looked down at Neza, without any emotion in his words. How can it be meaningless? It's fun to play. Isn't happiness the greatest meaning? Neza couldn't help but heaved a sigh of relief seeing that Ulquiorra didn't show any disgust or fear towards him. With a bright smile on his face, he held Ulquiorra's arm with one hand, his eyes wandered around, looking for something to play with. Ulquiorra looked at Neza blankly. Maybe it's because the aura on his body is different from that of Death God, but more like Shu, he didn't resist Neza's closeness. Second floor, feel free to toss around. Luo Teng raised his hand and drew out a circle of arcane light, and a lot of toys fell out of the circle of light. Neza happily looked at the toys on the ground, and then Hun Tinling rolled up, pulling Ulquiorra up the stairs. Can you tell me what's going on? Luo Teng turned his head to look at the two little angels standing behind Hexi. King of the heavens, we don't know. The two little angels looked at each other, and faced Luo Teng's question. They decisively lowered their heads and acted like quails. Hexi is sitting here, even if they know something, they dare not say it at all. Who dares to participate in the matter between Angel and the three kings? Okay. You guys go back first, I'll talk to Hexi. Luo Teng waved his hand. The two little angels nodded respectfully and left, and went straight back to the world of Super Seminary. She watched his movements, not intending to stop him at all, but just looked at him with a smile all the time. Can we talk now? Luo Teng sat directly on the coffee table, and looked at Hexi closely. Looking at the perfect face in front of him, his heart skipped a beat. No matter how many times he looks at it, Hexi is always so amazing in his eyes that it makes people dazzled. The domineering and impolite sitting posture shows that you are trying to overwhelm me with arrogance, in order to make me give up my original idea, and your eyes are in a trance for a moment, just like the first time you saw me the way it was. What does it look like? Excited look. She smiled lightly, with a look of nostalgia in his eyes. Luo Teng was as helpless as he wanted, and his whole body was vented. Facing his lover, it is really difficult for him to show that kind of arbitrariness and pressure. Can you agree to my request now? She dragged his chin with one hand, and looked softly at the helpless Luo Teng with his blue eyes. How long it takes? Luo Teng sighed and asked a question. Maybe hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, or even longer. She tilted his head, somewhat uncertain. Luo Teng has a broken expression on his face. What the hell, thousands of years? Although the time coherence is disconnected, the thousands of years in the super seminary world may only be a few months for him. But isn't a few months time? Moreover, GUK has said such words even longer. This also means that a few thousand years is not the maximum estimate, maybe tens of thousands of years at a time. Are you afraid? His eyes rolled, and the corner of his mouth curled into a slight smile. Afraid of what? Afraid that I will be snatched away by others? Ahem. Have you ever heard the term long-distance relationship? Luo Teng curled his lips, whose daughter-in-law Chong Hexi is like this, can he not be worried? If he was kidnapped, where would he cry? Angel's love transcends time and distance. To some extent, it is eternal. Moreover, as the most perfect male god in the known universe, you should be more confident that no one can take me away from you. She stroked Luo Teng's cheek with one hand, with a slightly confused look in his eyes. Luo Teng pursed his lips, almost pulling his eyebrows together. The most perfect male god in the known universe? This kind of words, it is estimated that the little angels of the super seminary believe it, okay? In the thousands of worlds, there are countless bugs that fascinate thousands of women. The legendary Poseidon of the Duluo world, the Aquarius Saint Camus among the saints, the Virgo Saint Shaka, the Nura Lusheng of the world of the grandson of the slippery ghost, and Levi of the Attack on Titan world, and the Yin Yasha world the killing pill. Picking out anyone at random will probably make the little girls who have never seen the market dream about it. Luo Teng knows his own business, and his appearance is really not top-notch. There is no magical power that makes people unable to walk at a glance. The most perfect male god in the known universe. He just regarded it as a compliment like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It seems you don't agree with me. She tilted his head, and didn't worry about whether there were other extremely outstanding men. Anyway, in her heart, the male god she chose as the best and most perfect. I just like an ignorant girl like you, Luo Tang muttered in his heart. If he was so stupid, he wouldn't say it directly. I should go. When I go back, I will cancel the time synchronization. Ronning, there are more than 500 angels. They stay here first to help you build a supercomputing cluster and build warships of the heavens. Hexi got up from Luo Tang's arms. After lightly kissing him on the forehead, he turned and walked towards the gate of the world behind the travel agency. Luo Tang frowned tightly, watching Hexi leave. System. Release the time synchronization of the Super Seminary world, and close the world gate. Super Seminary's world ground pickup time synchronization is closed, and the two-way world shuttle gate is closed. The lobby behind the travel agency, which represents the gate of the world of the Super Seminary, slowly dimmed, becoming the same as the world of One Punch and the world of Great Sword. Luo Tang shook his head. Hexi respected his choice, and he also respected Hexi's choice. Since the opponent's decision was the result of deliberation, if he forcefully stopped it, it might only make things worse. With the thought, Luo Tang lifted the sound shield in the travel agency. Just now, in order to ensure that the conversation between the two would not be disturbed, he directly blocked the movement on the first floor and the second floor. Look at me. Hey, go on. Phew, boom. As soon as the shielding was lifted, there was a burst of tearing air sounds and roars from the second floor. Luo Tang's cheeks twitched slightly. He knew without looking that Neza and Ulquiorra were playing deadly shuttlecock on the second floor. This is also thanks to being in a travel agency, protected by the rules of the travel agency. Nothing will be damaged, otherwise the two of them would have demolished the house long ago. However, Ulquiorra actually plays with Neza? This little brat still has this kind of affinity? Just kidding. If he had this kind of affinity, how could he have such a confrontation with the people of Chentang Pass? Luo Tang walked up to the second floor, and Neza was having a great time kicking the shuttlecock, performing all kinds of difficult moves. Ulquiorra at the other end just stood there expressionless. Every time the shuttlecock flew, he simply caught it, and then kicked it back with the speed of a cannonball. No, shuttlecock kicking should be like this, and then like this. Neza dexterously let the shuttlecock fly in the air, and after showing off his skills, he kicked it to Ulquiorra. Ulquiorra raised his toes, turned around to vent his strength, stopped the shuttlecock firmly on his toes, and looked up at Neza. Has no meaning. That's how you make others think you're amazing. Think about it. How happy people are when they look at you with admiration. Can't feel it. Ulquiorra said something coldly. Neza looked defeated. Luo Tang, who was standing at the top of the stairs, almost laughed out loud when he heard the words. After a pause, he spoke to the two of them. I'm going out for a while. You two, are you together? Go out? Neza's eyes sparkled, let alone kicking the shuttlecock. Grabbing Ulquiorra, he looked at Luo Tang expectantly, waiting for the departure date. Neza has been living in the Li mansion since he was born. Because of the relationship between Li Jing and Taoist Taiyi who went to heaven to see Yuan Shi Tianjun, he never had a chance to step out of the mansion. Even if he slipped out of the barrier secretly, people outside would fear him like a tiger. After Li Jing returned to the mansion, he entered the Shanhe Sheji map, and has been learning spells with the real Taiyi. Until today, it has been nearly 2 years, but they have not even published the map of Shanhe Sheji, let alone went to the real world. Going out to play outside, how tempting Neza is, naturally needless to say. As for Ulquiorra, the purpose of his coming here is to know what a heart is, or in other words, what it means to know a human heart. He naturally has no objections to Luo Tang's proposal. With a wave of Luo Tang's palm, a mysterious circle of light appeared, and the three of them stepped into it together. Heimdall, I'm going to Proxima Centauri. Standing on the top of the Stark building, Luo Tang shouted towards the sky. The beam of light from Bifrost descended in an instant, covering the three of them directly in the beam of light. After turning around, the three of them arrived at the Centaur galaxy where Proxima Centaur is located. Damn, can't you get a little closer? Luo Tang muttered something, looking at Proxima Centauri, which looked like a rugby ball, in his sight. He couldn't help complaining. After adding an energy shield that can survive in space to Ulquiorra and Neza, he spread the golden wings behind his back, pulling the two of them, and flew towards Proxima Centauri. The fixed star of the Centaur galaxy exudes scorching light. Even though it is still constantly away from Proxima Centauri, the three of them can still feel the scorching heat. Luo Tang flapped his wings, and the speed of the three of them seemed to be several times faster than that of an ordinary spaceship. Neza and Ulquiorra looked at the magnificent scenery in front of them with a somewhat bewildered expression in their eyes. In the shining space of fixed star, Proxima Centauri is like a rose in the dawn, exuding dazzling and bright luster. Although not as eye-catching as Nidawee's neutron star. But Proxima Centauri, which is quiet and full of vitality, shocks ordinary people, which cannot be described in simple words. Okay. Luo Tang frowned, with a bit of strangeness in his eyes, and looked at the more than 10 spaceships that were slowly flying around Proxima Centauri. These are big and small, but the shapes of the spaceships are all very rough. The dense attack weapons on it make it look like a ferocious war behemoth. It doesn't fit Angel's aesthetics at all. Angels, what is the situation outside Proxima now, and why are there so many space battleships parked on the periphery? Luo Tang pressed his right ear with one hand, and asked in the dark communication channel. King of the Heavens, I am Angel Ling. After Angel Ronning leaves, I will be in charge of the Proxima Centauri supercomputing group. Next, I will answer your questions. Since the defeat of Thanos' Legion, many civilizations in the universe have developed a strong interest in Angel. Space pirates and mercenaries are peeping into Proxima Centauri almost all the time. Because we didn't get your order, we just repelled the mercenaries who wanted to enter the Proxima Centauri, but never completely defeated and wiped them out. Angel Ling's voice came from the dark communication channel. Luo Tang glanced at the many space battleships, with a bit of displeasure in his eyes. He spread his wings and flew directly towards Proxima Centauri. Thanos, even before obtaining 6 infinite gems, is also the overlord-level power in the universe. Thanos' army was defeated in one fell swoop. The Earth in Proxima Centauri, where Angel is currently located, will naturally receive the attention of various forces. I'm afraid that those civilizations who are indifferent to the world will learn more about the details of Angel and the Earth to determine how to deal with it. Now these more than a dozen space battleships, he still can't tell whether they are friends or enemies. If you do it directly, you may offend some planetary civilizations that were originally planning to make good friends with Proxima Centauri. The fluctuation of the energy of the naval gun came from the universe on the left. Luo Tang suddenly turned his head, and saw a large warship nearly 500 meters long, aiming its guns at him. Neza and Ulquiorra immediately looked at the large battleship that fired. Both of them are not weak, their perception sensitivity is only slightly slower than Luo Tang's. Are they trying to kill us? Neza's eyes were filled with astonishment and confusion. At such a young age, he still couldn't understand the complexity of human nature. I can take care of them. The expression on Ulquiorra's face remained unchanged. As a man with facial paralysis, even Luo Tang has a hard time clearing up what the other party is thinking. No need, this Ying. Luo Tang glanced at the ship that was still gathering energy, raised one hand, and pointed the palm at the opponent's battleship. Terrifying dark energy fluctuations gathered in the palm of his hand, and in just a few seconds, the intensity of the dark energy in his hand far exceeded the ground. Originally wanted to intercept Luo Tang's space battleship, hurriedly began to change the corresponding operation instructions. It's just that everything they did was useless after all. The dark energy in Luo Tang's hand spewed out, directly colliding with the opponent's naval gun energy. Dazzling brilliance flickered in the universe, and silent energy fluctuations quickly spread around. Neza opened his eyes wide, seeing this kind of energy colliding for the first time. His jaw almost dropped to the ground. Even if he didn't feel the mighty gust of wind hitting his face, and there was no deafening sound, he could still feel the power of this blow. If you take the initiative to attack me, do you regard me as an angel who is alone? Luo Tang muttered inwardly. Watching the opponent's spaceship quickly turn around without making a hit, trying to jump out of here through the wormhole. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and pointed to the opponent's battleship with one hand. Heaven, intercept the opponent, don't let him jump through the wormhole. The engine of the heavens is turned on, the definition of high-level space wormholes is turned on, the calculation of wormholes starts, the calculation is completed, the space wormholes are rearranged and sorted, and the space wormholes disappear when the sorting is completed. The Centaur Galaxy, not Earth London. There is no special astrology of Juxing Lianju affecting the space arrangement rule. Luo Tang can complete the calculation of large space wormholes in just a few seconds. Coupled with the calculation support provided by the supercomputing clusters close at hand, the time has been shortened by nearly 10 times. The battleship in front of him wants to complete the wormhole jump under his nose. It is completely a dream. The space wormhole dissipated, and the original power was fully activated, and the warship that was about to jump into the wormhole was empty. Neza looked at the space battleship spinning back and forth like a headless fly, giggling non-stop. Obviously, the other party couldn't understand why the space wormhole suddenly disappeared. Angels. I have unlocked the access to the arsenal. Now, take down all the outer battleships. Those who resist and do not cooperate will be annihilated directly. Luo Tang pressed his right ear with one hand, and connected to the communication channel of the dark sky. The angels, who were already depressed by the prying and harassment around them, suddenly responded. They didn't get orders before, so in order to maintain Luo Tang's image in the universe, they could only passively defend here. Now that the King of the Heavens has ordered it himself, what is there for hesitation? And the authority of the Heavens Armory is open. Doesn't that mean that they can use those super weapons and armors they have dreamed of? More than 200 angels spread their wings and flew out of Proxima Centauri. After applying for the permission of the arsenal, a set of full-covering alloy armor covered the whole body, and long swords lingering in flames appeared in the hands of many angels. These long swords are the standard long swords that Luo Tang made for angels in Nidaway some time ago. The silver-white sword body is engraved with golden-red esoteric magic marks, and its performance and power far surpass that of the flame sword. As long as there is enough dark energy support, it is enough to release a star-killing attack far surpassing the trial of the Skyknife. Angels turned into streamers of light in the universe. The long sword pointed directly at many warships, and those who resisted the attack were smashed by their swords to explode the spaceship. Those who are willing to cooperate will land on the ground of Proxima Centauri under the escort of several angels. Luo Tang looked at the battleship that was still stupidly trying to rush out of the Centaur galaxy after he cancelled the wormhole jump, with a bit of disdain in his eyes. Just as he was about to raise his hand to blow up the battleship directly to frighten the cosmic forces, he saw two familiar figures in the battleship. Yondu, Star-Lord, Heaven, seize control of the opponent's warship and drive it over to me. Start to invade the enemy ship's intelligent control system. The invasion is successful. The control of weapons, the control of power, the complete control of the control system. The huge warship, more than 600 meters long and nearly 100 meters wide, slowly moved towards Luo Tang. All weapon systems, under the control of the Heavens system, have entered a standby state. Luo Tang, connected to the other parties in ship radio, stood directly in front of the battleship, coughed lightly, and opened his mouth slowly. Yondu, the interstellar poacher, I will give you a chance to tell your purpose. The Centaur galaxy is my hometown, and you have occupied it. Yondu, who was wrapped in a layer of space energy clothing, walked out of the battleship. Looked directly at Luo Tang's direction, with irrepressible anger in his eyes. Luo Tang was taken aback for a moment, and suddenly remembered that Yondu seemed to come from the Centaur galaxy. However, he occupies here? Didn't you abandon this place? A war almost turned this place into a Death Star. The angels piled up countless resources and spent time and energy to bring this place back to life. Then you want to come back again? There was a bit of displeasure in Luo Tang's eyes. Because of the previous battlefield, Proxima Centauri was filled with radiation almost everywhere, dilapidated and cut off from life. When the angels first arrived, they almost couldn't bear it. I don't know how much effort was wasted, how many resources were advanced from Asgard, and there are some signs of recovery here. What the hell? I didn't come back when it was the Death Star, but now I come back and say, where is it? Can you be a little more shameless? The Death Star is also my hometown. Yondu said something bluntly, always holding on to this point. Luo Tang frowned slightly, seeing Yondu's strangled neck and trying to force himself, he felt something was wrong. Is Yondu the type to be foolhardy? No. It can be said that among the many interstellar poachers, Yondu is notoriously cunning. This kind of person is very good at judging the situation and knowing what to do in what situation. Although there are only more than 200 angels on Proxima Centauri, the combat power of these angels is enough to destroy small space fleets. Yondu should be very clear in his heart, they can't resist Angel. The most appropriate way to deal with it should be to publicize that this is a misunderstanding, and then choose to soften and leave. Otherwise, waiting for their end, it is likely to turn into fireworks in space like some space battleships not far away. Let me see what you're hiding. Luo Tang narrowed his eyes slightly, and the white glow of the heavens enveloped his eyes. The engine of the heavens starts, the mind detection starts, the thinking mode monitoring starts, the hippocampus detection starts. The power obtained after analyzing the mind gem allows Luo Tang to easily read and change anyone's mind. It's just that he seldom uses this kind of power. After all, the people he contacts are either friends or tourists. Generally, when you see an enemy, you will do it directly, and there is very little communication, let alone see what the enemy is thinking. You come from the Centaur galaxy, but you have no feelings for this place. Some time ago, you accepted the entrustment of a broker to monitor the movement of Proxima Centauri, 100,000 star coins, capture an angel, and 1,000,000 star coins per day. Really impressive price. There are not many people who are against me, let me check, who hired you? Huh. You also robbed Sovereign's steel titanium battery a while ago? You are not small. Every time Luo Tang said a word, the sweat on Yondu's forehead became more intense. When the secrets deep in the heart are completely pried into, and there is no privacy at all, everyone will panic. Yondu reached for the flying arrow in his belt. It's just that the flying arrows that he has been relying on in the past have not given him the slightest confidence this time. 100,000 star coins is already a lot of money for most space hunters, and many people are even willing to risk their lives to do it. 1,000,000 star coins, even some veteran space hunter forces, will be attracted. White light flickered in Luo Tang's eyes, and through the blessing of the supercomputing group of the heavens, he quickly invaded the computer records of all spaceships. After the integration of multiple information, the name of the employer is also analyzed. Accuser Ronan. This lackey under Thanos, in the name of Carrie Star, issued a wanted list for Angel. Moreover, according to the intelligence analysis of the information integration, the accuser Ronan has already started to play the idea of the power gem. Ronan the accuser started looking for the power gem, so Thanos went looking for the soul gem himself? That's right. Luo Tang muttered in his heart, he doesn't like the green Gamora all over her body. All he cares about is when Thanos will find the soul gem, and when will he come to Earth with 2 gems. 6 infinite gems, he already has reality gem, space gem, time gem, mind gem. Only the last 2 gems are left, collect them all. He is looking forward to the power that can destroy more than half of the universe's creatures with a single sound. I've heard that the Master of the 9 Realms gives everyone a chance to repent. There was a bit of cold sweat on Modu's face, anyone could see that he was extremely nervous at the moment. The space hunters staying in the control room of the spacecraft were equally nervous when they saw the appearance of their leader. Before coming, they learned about Angel's power through various channels. Especially the King of the Heavens in the mouth of the angels. The power to annihilate 800 space behemoths with a wave of their hands is simply not something they can contend with. If the leader Yondu can't convince Luo Tang, then they all have to die in the universe today. That's not me, that's Avengers. Luo Tang smiled and raised his index finger, pointing to the spaceship where Yondu and the others were riding. No. Stop. We are willing to redeem ourselves, willing to pay the price. We have a lot of valuable things. Yondu spoke hastily. He knows that resistance can only lead to death. Unless it is absolutely necessary, he really doesn't want to be that person who made a heroic sacrifice. Something of value. Luo Tang raised his eyebrows and looked at Yondu with an expression of interest on his face. In fact, he didn't really want to kill the other party. The dozen or so warships that the angels killed just now were enough to scare most people. One with more courage is not more, and one with less courage is not much. He wants these guys to do some things for him, such as finding the power gem. Steel titanium batteries. We have a lot of steel titanium batteries, and small combat boats, we have a lot. Yondu saw that there was something going on, and hurriedly continued to speak. It's not enough. However, I'm willing to give you a chance. If you keep something for me, if you go to get something for me, this matter will be cancelled. I will even give you some special rewards. Luo Tang talked with Yondu about the conditions with a kind face. Today, there are too many people staring at Angel and Proxima Centauri in the universe. Angel cannot be dispatched easily at all. A small number of teams are dispatched, and every minute someone comes up to chase and intercept. And Luo Tang did not dare to leave too far because of the relationship between Dormammu and Hela, the goddess of death, who may attack at any time. Although I knew that the power gem was in the ruins of planet Morag, but I really had no chance to bring it back. Since Yondu came to your door by himself, if you don't make good use of it, how can you say it's a waste? Molag. A ball? Yondu grinned. The interstellar poacher is a character who walks on the edge of life and death. Moreover, since Luo Tang said that, it meant that their lives were saved. If you can bring it back, 1,000,000 star coins. Luo Tang threw the bait lightly. To him, wherever electronic financial markets exist, currency has no value. The last time he went to Xandar Star, as soon as he thought about it, there were more star coins in his account than he could spend in his lifetime. If you can exchange a bunch of data for power gems, let alone 1,000,000, 10 billion will do. It's the best news I've ever heard and we're going to bring it back. The look on Yondu's face was filled with anticipation. 1 million is not a small amount, enough for his poaching group to spend for several years. Different from the high risk of capturing Angel, planet Morag is a waste star, and there are no intelligent creatures on it. It's not easy to go there to pick up something. Luo Tang pouted, but did not respond to Yondu's words. Whether you can bring back the power gem depends on what you say. After more than 200 angels dealt with the other chaotic warships, most of them flew behind Luo Tang except for a few guards. The expression on Yong's face stiffened a little, he waved his hand behind him hurriedly and scolded. A bunch of idiots, hurry up and move out the steel titanium batteries and small combat boats. Luo Tang raised his chin slightly, and the angels stepped forward one after another, driving the valuable batteries and small combat boats to Proxima Centauri. You'd better not play tricks. Definitely, we don't have the guts to deal with the great lord of the heavens. Cut. Whoop, Luo Tang sneered and whistled. The flying arrow behind Yondu responded. The flying arrow, exuding a faint red glow, spun a beautiful arc in the air, and went straight to Yondu's thigh. Oh. Damn. With a somewhat frightened expression in his eyes, Yondu let out a low cry and tried his best to dodge. Pissed. The sound of flying arrows piercing the flesh resounded. Yondu, who was pale, covered his lower body, with the expression of a dead father on his face. Wow. Neza couldn't bear to look at Yondu. That expression vividly described what is meant by, it hurts to look at. Miss Angel's complexions were reddish and they spat secretly, turned their heads and ran away with their spoils. The only one who cannot change his face is Ulquiorra. With its values, it is completely incomprehensible what it feels like to have a tool for inheriting the family being abolished. It's the first time to manipulate. I'm not very proficient, you shouldn't hide, hey. Luo Tang touched the tip of his nose in embarrassment, and whistled again. Pissed. The flying arrow that had been pierced in half was pulled out and returned to the belt behind Yondu. The look on Yondu's face was as painful as it could be. This poking and pulling made him understand that he was probably useless, and it was impossible to have a nightlife in the future. Angel's medical technology is still good. I will cure you when you bring back what I want. Luo Tang said a little embarrassed. I will definitely be back. The blue veins on Yondu's face were bulging, and the painful expression seemed to pass away at any time. By the way, Yondu Udoda, who is Star-Lord's father? I know very well why you were expelled from the Poacher Alliance. I am also very clear. Now, I am in charge of the 9 realms, and Deep Blue Star is also one of the 9 realms. 1. Come back early, you can get more than just star coins. Luo Tang looked at the resentment flashing in Yondu's eyes, and took a deep breath. In order to make up for it a little, the one blow hit the vital point, which caused a psychological shadow to Yondu. He made a temptation that Yondu couldn't refuse. I will return. Yondu was silent for a few seconds before speaking again. At the moment, his eyes were no longer filled with crazy hatred as before, but with unprecedented seriousness. A broken body can be transformed, and a planet with advanced biogenetic technology can even be rebuilt. But there are some things that he can't let go of in his life. Seeing that the boss was injured, Xingju and several of Yondu's subordinates hurried out of the cabin. With obvious fear on their faces, everyone helped Yondu into the cabin. What did you mean by what you told them? Ulquiorra clearly saw the change in Yondu's expression before and after. He couldn't understand at all that he hated the other party a second ago, why he could quickly let go of this hatred in the next second. Everyone has things they can't let go of and beliefs they would rather die to protect. The corners of Luo Tang's mouth curled up, and he turned and flew towards Proxima Centauri. It was difficult for Ulquiorra to understand what Luo Tang said. Luo Tang also didn't mean to explain in detail to the other party. After all, this kind of thing, if you understand it, and if you don't understand it, you don't understand it. As a broken face that represents nothingness, if you really understand the heart, there may be some problems. Yondu is not considered a good person, or in other words, in the alliance of interstellar poachers, there are really not many good people in the traditional sense. However, this group of people still has a bottom line in doing things. Their rules, while ensuring their own interests, also ensured a certain degree of balance in the universe. So even if many civilizations are unhappy with them, there are also many civilizations that regard them as saviors. In fact, to put it bluntly, they are a group of mercenaries who work for money. However, the steel titanium battery, Luo Teng raised his eyebrows, with a bit of surprise and bewilderment in his eyes. Steel titanium batteries are a product of the sovereign civilization, and this civilization is notoriously narrow-minded. Anyone who dares to snatch their batteries will definitely attract endless revenge. If he remembered correctly, in the original book, the High Priest of Sovereign Civilization once asked Yondu to capture Star-Lord and his gang. If Yondu once snatched the steel titanium battery, how could the High Priest of the Sovereign Civilization entrust him? Is it because of the butterfly effect brought about by my time travel, or is there something inside? Luo Teng frowned, with some puzzlement in his eyes. On Proxima Centauri, more than a dozen spaceships of different shapes and sizes are currently moored. These ships are basically from different civilizations. Either they didn't have too much malice towards Angel, or they temporarily succumbed to Angel's powerful combat power. Angels, we are from Xandar, and we just want to establish diplomatic relations with you and invite you to join the space trade. We are Skrulls. I heard that you have defeated the Legion of Destruction. Angels, we are from the Hexi Empire. Oh, I hope you have heard this name. Hey, we're just here to see. Passing by. Really passing by. No, you can't treat me like this. According to the law of the universe, you Angel don't have the right to judge or imprison us. You really don't hesitate to go to war with the Carey Empire? Our strength is far beyond your imagination. Shouts filled the berth of the spaceship. The tough attitude of the Angels caused dissatisfaction among many people, and some people who were already hostile even fanned the flames. Luo Teng brought Neza and Ulquiorra and slowly descended from the sky. Looking at the noisy crowd, there was a bit of obvious displeasure in his eyes. When I went to Xandar, I followed the order there. As soon as Luo Teng opened his mouth, the noisy Xandar members in the crowd suddenly fell silent. We will also abide by your rules, Your Excellency Master of the Nine Realms. The captain of the Xandar Star's trip bowed and saluted, and the members of the Xandar Star Guard behind him also fell silent. Luo Teng turned his head to look at the group of Kree people who were still relentless and proclaimed their own strength, curled their lips in disdain. King of the Heavens. Angel Ling walked out from among the many angels. As Angel Ronning, she is the person who will lead the remaining angels on her behalf during her travels. She is the only high-level angel left among the many angels. In the future, if there are people from the Carey Empire, they will enter the range of the Centaur Galaxy, the Solar System, and the Nine Realms and shoot them down directly. Luo Teng opened his mouth to say something, waved his hand, and a mysterious halo quickly passed over the people of the Kree Empire. Shua. All the people of the Kree Empire on the scene were instantly transferred to space. They looked at the dim surroundings in a panic. After reacting, I wanted to activate the battlesuit on my body, but found that the battlesuit was completely useless. One after another, Kree Empire warriors turned into ice sculptures in the low-temperature environment of space. This kind of cosmic floating corpse is not a rare thing at all outside some warlike civilization planets. Yes. King of the Heavens. Putting his right fist in front of Shuan, he slightly bowed to respond to Luo Teng's order. The Centaur Galaxy, the Solar System, and the Nine Realms are all Luo Teng's territory now. There is nothing wrong with such an order. Although from the perspective of cosmic peace law, I should dissuade you, but I have to say that I appreciate your actions, my Lord Master of the Nine Realms. A man covered in golden light, with one hand folded on his abdomen, bowed to Luo Teng in salute. Many people around heard the words and couldn't help showing disdainful expressions. This flattery, can't you be a little more reserved? Shame on you? Sovereign. Luo Teng looked at the sovereign, who was even more golden than golden sparkle, as if he had been painted with gold powder, and raised his eyebrows slightly. Nima, with this complexion, insisted on stabbing his titanium alloy dog AIs. Sovereign Wenming, Sakea, head of the 1st Diplomatic Corps, it's an honor to meet you, Your Majesty the Master of the Nine Realms. Skaya saluted respectfully again, with a flattering smile on his face. There are not many male leaders in Sovereign. What are you here for? Luo Teng asked directly.